In year 2 of my business, I had this wrong hire. He was amazing at sales, but he came with a lot of red flags and he also came with a criminal record. After working with him for almost 1 year, he stole 90K away from us, almost bankrupt business. But I managed to turn a situation like that, a shit show, from 90K loss all the way to 7-figure in less than 3 years afterwards. In this video, I'm going to share with you the struggle that I went through, how that happened, and how I dealt with it, so you don't have to go through the similar experience as I did.
Okay, so let's talk about entrepreneurship today. Can you tell me a little bit about how long you've been on this journey?
Summer of 2015, that's when I decided to start my own business. Ever since we started, we just never looked back after. But what got us into it is because the job was so boring, that full engineering job. I just couldn't stand it, and I couldn't see myself continuing for the rest of my life, basically. I want control, I want more money, I want to put in more work, have a proportional compensation to it.
Okay, what were some of the struggles? I know 2015 you said it was a while ago. What were some of the big struggles that you've had?
Oh, it was way harder than anybody could ever imagine, to be honest. You know, when you start something, people are going to buy from you right away. That's never the case, right? You have to earn it, you have to learn how to sell, you have to do a lot of stuff, and the income was never predictable. We learned that almost right away. Like, we started and we realized that the cash flow is not consistent. Sometimes you have to wait for the project to complete. You don't have the steady income coming in anymore. It's not comfortable. Every day you're waking up, you're trying to earn something immediately. So I think that was pretty shocking to me immediately. Also, like, I had a bit of an expectation that it's probably going to be like that for a while. I just didn't know it could last that long. And obviously there's a wrong hire, end up leading to money being stolen. You know, people issue are just the biggest challenge in business in general.
From my understanding, you lost $89,000.
Yeah, less than 1 year time frame. But yeah, it was a lot of money. And by the way, when I say a lot of money, it was back then. It was a lot of money. That's pretty much like the half of what we earned for the entire year. At the time, my business partner introduced another contact into the business, and part of the reason why we needed that was because sales was an issue, right? How do you actually get clients? How to build this business? How to keep bringing new clients in was the biggest bottleneck that we had. So we started looking, and then John came in, obviously a lot older, a lot more experienced in business. Also came with a lot of red flags. He was very confident, very persuasive. He basically were able to make me believe that he will be the shortcut of this entire business world. Very soon I recognized that, yeah, I needed a talent like that, because I've never seen anybody who's that good at sales and be able to connect with people that quickly. But obviously, introduce this person, thought like everything would just start scaling, which it did for a while. It was working very, very well for the first like 2-3 months.
And also people saw that he was older. It was just you and your business partner, and you guys were both really, really young. You guys just graduated school, right?
I was a recent graduate. Angel was a little bit older than me. We looked really, really young, especially in real estate investing world. Talking to a bunch of vendors, right? Give a lot more respect to this older gentleman. His status started climbing up like pretty quickly within 3 of us. He asked for, hey, can I have a credit card? Can I have this? And maybe I need to be looking at the accounts because I got a lot more experience, right? I can get my accountant friend to also help us strategize. It wasn't really an agreement. It was just a suggested. And then at some point he started really pushing into that direction and just be like, guys, just focus on delivery, focus on the operation, focus on admin, and let me bring the clients, let me bring the sales, and let me manage the accounts so that I can watch how everything flows, and then I'll take this into a 7-figure business for you guys. Very convincing, and that's where everything started falling apart.
Tell me a little bit about your mindset at that time, because you really wanted this to work. You didn't mind grinding. You worked really hard. I remember you going out every day early in the morning and then coming back home like late. You didn't look at your accounts. You were just out like door knocking, well, delivering, and like, you know, shoveling snow, all that.
Like managing vendors, you know, like looking for different type of things to upsell, trying to do as many things as possible. At the time, we were handling landscaping, we were doing project management, anything you can think about, property maintenance. We try to cover all of that. The goal at the time was keep building up the cash flow, keep connecting with more and more landlords and real estate investors so that we can eventually get into the investing.
That's why he was also so convincing for you, because you wanted to get there real quickly.
The mindset was very simple. The mindset was just like, if me and Angel were having sales, he solved that problem right away. The trust was already there. So at that point, he started painting the vision instead of us painting the vision. And his vision was actually very simple. He talked very big game about what it can look like. And therefore, let me walk you through exactly how we can get there in the next year or two. And in order for him to be able to successfully execute this vision for all of us, he needs the account. He needs the cars. He needs whatever, right? His intention was just wanting to have the access to the funds, right? So that he can use it without being monitored. Okay? And my mindset was back then was just like, fuck yeah, like I want to do it. I need to win. I have too many people, especially older circle, that were still in engineering that didn't believe that this was a good idea. And then obviously parents were saying that why not just continue being an engineer? You started hard, you actually passed. They couldn't understand why I abandoned the career and to start a business. In their mind, they knew that an entrepreneur running a business is extremely tough, right? Very challenging. So they wanted me to take a safer route, make a decent income and then invest in real estate and just do that for the next 30, 40 years. But I couldn't see that.
You said it was working well 2 to 3 months in. He was getting you guys sales. And then what happened?
He was always giving us sales. He was so good at what he does. He cold called, he talked to realtors, he talked to mortgage agents, he talked to all the literally property management business connects with so many different professionals, right? And he was so good at just getting contacts. And one thing leads to another. We started managing projects, right? And you started seeing like 30K cash payment coming in, and then we put it in the safe. We started like seeing people needing landscaping services, and all of a sudden the entire area had all of our signs out, right? We're just very ambitious back then. And when you start seeing things moving like that, visually speaking, like you start seeing things moving, you want to keep feeding into that momentum. We rarely had days off. It was Monday to Sunday, almost like for the first like 2 years. And sometimes we have a little dinner, like here and there. Most of the time, it feels like every day was 14 hours at a bare minimum. 8 to 10 is very normal for us.
But it was fun though. You really enjoyed it.
8 a.m. to 10 p.m. You kind of need to enjoy what you're doing. There's a vision, and when you're building that vision, it feels like you're building a foundation and blocks. When you're in creation mode, you're not feeling tired. We're constantly feeling like, okay, there's not enough money, in the account. What really got me started thinking or looking into this, why I started seeing my cash payment going missing.
Where are these cash from?
Rent, because we're managing other people's properties, right? So back then, at least I was logging into a bank account here and there. There's always a balance, right? And sometimes I see cash advance, payment from the credit card, and there was always a reason. Didn't really pay too much attention. But the moment I started really looking into all of those transactions was when I started seeing the cash payment from my drawer going missing. And guess what? I had a lock. When I started seeing the cash payment going missing, I'm just like, what's happening here? And it got to a point where I wasn't sharing this with anybody else. I have to keep fronting the funds from our operating account because we collect the rent for the landlords. It's gone missing. It's not their fault that we still need to deliver the payment. We make money, we pay into the rent reimbursement for the landlords. Yeah, and that went on for a while actually. Yeah, I just couldn't figure it out, and I kept developing different systems, tracking all that stuff. I knew things were missing. I knew that I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't crazy. First 2 weeks I thought I was going crazy, but after that I'm just like, something is really off. And then I looked around, there was only 4 people in the office. It was me, Andrew, this guy John, and an admin. Who is stealing the money?
It must have been so shocking.
Oh yeah, it was insane. It was insane, especially when the money was gone missing. First time ever that I ran into this problem, there's only 2 thoughts. Who can I trust now? And the second thing is just like, how do you even handle this conversation? Everybody is fighting for this vision, this platform to survive, right? So when the money is going missing, like, who are we looking at? And if you accuse of the wrong person, the trust is broken, then what happens if the money is still going missing? At that point, it's just like there's a lot of conflict thoughts, and I didn't know how to handle. I didn't know how to handle the conversation. Like, imagine if this is happening right now and we don't have a proper system in place, and we're not talking about 89K, probably extra zero at the end. That was pretty hard.
What did you learn from that?
Watch your money from the get-go. Yeah, regardless of what other people say, like, hire a bookkeeper initially. Like, whenever there's money going out, at least you have one person watching that money, verifying that money. And if you're a business owner, you gotta be in control of the finance.
Because it was so overwhelming to be looking at those numbers. Because you have rent coming in and you have to remit them and stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that probably not a lot of people know about me is that, oh my God, I cannot do payroll. And maybe that's why I overthink about the money. It was hard enough to draw the income in. And as soon as you see the reserve goes up, and then boom, payroll day happens, so that you have to issue the payment, and the payment goes out.
All your hard work.
Yeah, all the hard work. There's a float, and then sometimes when the money goes down, it will paralyze me right away. And that's why, like, I try not to look at it too much, but then I didn't know that I could just hire a bookkeeper, bring me the report every single week, verify the payments, and that itself is fine.
I remember at one point, you guys also got a school bus.
Yes, we do. Except that it's been sitting in an empty parking lot for a very long time. But basically, what happened is that we're doing a lot of tenant placement, and basically what tenant placement means that whenever there's a vacant unit, we show people this unit and try to get the property rented. And the moment that we focus on student rentals, sometimes we have 5, 10, 15 empty houses, or houses that are about to become available. Instead of coordinating with 5, 6 different groups, sometimes it means that their parents also come over. That's 5, 6 different cars cars for each group. The showing becomes a very, very long and tedious. And so what we end up figuring out is that why don't we just buy a bus, get everybody on the bus, and we drive the bus over, and then let people out. And then we can place the attendants faster and faster. And that was a very creative idea, but it was very stupid. This vehicle, I think, was over 200 or 300 kilometers in its own mileage, and then things were breaking down already. This guy John, who suggested to buy a bus, like when he was sourcing the vehicle, I think when he was going through the safety, the mechanics told us not to buy this one. I'm pretty sure there's a deal behind it. So he was really pushing for this vehicle, and then things were breaking down, and then we had to keep constantly bringing this back to the mechanics to get it fixed. And then it got to a point where transmission was also failing, and it was just too expensive to fix.
Yeah, and we never know if he was getting a side, like a kickback.
Exactly.
What ended up happening with John, from my understanding, we also found out that he's a criminal.
No, actually, we knew that from the get-go, like before we even start working together. And since he got introduced by Andrew, there's a certain level of trust that you try to, I guess, look past from it. And since there was a result, like from the very beginning, yeah, you kind of just believe in his story. Now, looking back, like 100%, I will make the probation 3 months. If there's any criminal record, it doesn't mean like you don't give a second chance, but you just won't give that kind of a control. The guard has to be always up there. And my mom told me that too. To be honest, everybody around me told me that watch out for this person. There's too many red flags. Right, but at the time I just view him as a shortcut, and I want it so bad.
What did he do with this money?
He gambled it all away. Every time there's a cash withdrawal, every time that he took something, every time that we issue a bonus to him, there's a few times like with that cash, sometimes he would even say, dude, I don't know where you went.
You're a liar guy!
Like he would be acting out. His daughter was getting married, and I actually gave him some money, right? Just be like, hey, listen, like go treat yourself, like it's a big day for you. At the time, he was also divorced. He doesn't have his life together. And then the next day, he's just like, dude, like, did you give it to me? Like, remember you gave it to me? Like, where did it go? I'm just like, dude, I don't know. Like, you took it.
So good at lying.
And that money was not a small amount either. The money that I gave him was not a small amount.
I remember now. And then you ended up finding so many lottery tickets.
Oh yeah, it was full box of lottery tickets.
Good learning. But because of that experience, you ended up putting so many safety checks in place. And now you are really actually looking at your accounting. 89K lesson.
Yeah, looking back, it's just like that was a lot of money back then. 89K is one person's full-time salary. It was gone like that. His father was also one of our investors for a building. It was so hard for us to just cut it right away. There was a lot of lawsuit. There was a lot of threatening, you know, for us, like even from his dad. And his dad obviously wanted to protect his son, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't surprised about the outcome because he told us like so many different stories on why he got screwed over by his previous partner, saying every single one of them was not his fault. And it took a lot of mental stress because at that time, I lost the best salesperson on the team, almost the face of the company too, because a lot of the clients were brought in by him. He took away a few clients as well.
I remember they were surprised that you guys were actually the owner of the company.
Yeah, and we're just like, what? I thought he was the owner. I was just like, no, he was not. He's just saying different things and try to increase his status, right? But yeah, he took away some clients, and then all of a sudden I had to like figure out a way to learn sales like ASAP. I had to deal with the legal stuff. I had to figure out the payroll because 89K was gone and there was no way to chase him. And as a legal fee kept piling up, and then on top of that, it was a few other dramas that he created that was backfiring at us. And at that time, it was just like we had to make a decision: like, is this worth pursuing at this point? Is it better to just shut it down, or is it better to stick to it and then fight through it? I show him that, dude, I can run this without you. At that point, he also asked for severance as a partner, whatever, right? So it was a crazy amount of money. His intention at the time was definitely try to bring all of this down. He did that successfully for previous partners, and I heard all the stories, and he was very proud of it. So I knew that intention was there. So being someone who's a little bit competitive, I'm like, okay, let's do it.
I'm glad you stuck through with it though.
Yeah, because I feel like at that point, if I could find ways to fight it through the entire thing, worst case is just closing down the business. Best case is I got it through, and then this business started taking off with the right momentum, with the right people this time, with the right expertise. Then at least I'm not allowing this mistake to destroy my confidence. I thought that was really, really important, because if I lost momentum and lost confidence at that point, it's gonna be really hard for me to step back into the business world.
That's resiliency. That's crazy. And I just realized that you're 10 years, like this property management business is 10 years this year.
Yeah, this all happened in year 2. Yeah, year 2 of the business.
And look at you guys doing so well right now with the property management business.
Yeah, you end up branching out to so many different other opportunities too. Yeah, so our flipping business, our real estate sales, now in the States there's a community of wholesaling divisions, and there's more things that we're planning out. It's all because of the foundation of this property management business or the experience of running the very initial business.